When loyalty turns deadly, even the tightest crews can unravel. Lil Durk's world isn't just built on fame and success. It's held together by loyalty and the unspoken rules of the streets. But what happens when someone breaks that code? Recently, a story has surfaced that takes loyalty to its breaking point. An OTF member's baby mama lost her life, allegedly as part of a brutal response after he broke the code and snitched. If you think you've got the full story on Durk and OTF, there's a lot more beneath the surface. Keep watching. Things are about to get intense. Catching a snitch. Following Lil Durk's recent arrest by U.S. Marshals in Florida, a wave of theories has emerged, suggesting that the rapper might be tied to a string of violent crimes. Among the most controversial claims is the FBI's belief that Durk's associate, OTF Jam, could hold critical information that could ultimately bring Durk down. In this tangled web of allegations, some believe that Durk may have even ordered the killing of Jam's child's mother, Octavia Redmond, as a brutal warning to keep him silent. Durk's recent legal troubles started with his arrest on October 24th on charges related to a murder-for-hire plot against Atlanta rapper Quando Rondo. But that's just the beginning. Online speculation quickly spread, with many connecting the arrest to other mysterious killings, including those of Octavia Redmond and Stephon Mack. As these connections circulate, they're painting a disturbing picture of alleged retribution and cover-ups, though no official reports yet back these claims. The situation with Octavia Redmond brings a whole new level of tragedy to the story. Octavia, who was OTF Jam's child's mother, was just out working her route as a postal worker in South Chicago when she was suddenly ambushed and shot in broad daylight in July 2024. It's beyond tragic, a mother just doing her job, caught up in the dangers connected to this world. Despite law enforcement arriving quickly, she was pronounced dead shortly after being taken to the hospital. To make things even more unsettling, the shooter's getaway car was found burned out nearby, with surveillance capturing a masked figure fleeing in a stolen car. It's a reminder of how real these street tactics are when they're not just lyrics. Then a couple of months later, police in Iowa arrested a 15-year-old boy in connection with her murder, charging him with felony first-degree murder. Now he's facing the justice system in Chicago, but people aren't convinced this is where the story ends. There's still speculation that this tragedy might have been part of a larger scheme, with rumors suggesting that Durk could have been pulling strings, sending a harsh message to keep OTF Jam quiet. If that's true, it's a level of intensity that few would expect, even in a world that's used to playing tough. And then there's the unresolved case of Stephon Mack, who was ambushed and killed in January 2022 as he was leaving the Youth Peace Center in Roseland. Two suspects were charged, Anthony Montgomery Wilson and Preston Powell, but only Montgomery Wilson has been in custody. Rumors suggest Mack's murder may also be part of a larger picture, possibly another piece of the puzzle surrounding Durk's inner circle and how tightly they keep things under wraps. Adding more fuel to the speculation, a recent video surfaced showing OTF Jam allegedly wearing a wire around Lil Durk.
Arm mark them all day. They called me with a cast. So I lift my shit up. I'm like, man, this thing boom, man. He laughed. He said, I ain't do that. Hey, slow vacation. Trying to tell him. I ain't know shit right on.
The clip shows Durk, Jam, and a few others in a dimly lit room, chatting casually and even appearing to talk to someone over the phone. But fans noticed something off about Jam. He seemed tense and uncomfortable, and it didn't go unnoticed. People started connecting the dots, wondering if his body language had something to do with the rumors of him cooperating with law enforcement. If Jam was indeed working with the feds, it wouldn't just be a quick setup. He'd have been recording for a while, building a case that could dig deep into Durk's operations. Observers have pointed out that if Durk's crew didn't pick up on Jam's strange behavior, they might have overlooked a massive betrayal. And if it's true, it speaks volumes about the complexities of loyalty in this world and how the pressure of the streets can make even the closest alliances fall apart. OTF Jam, or Casey Hester as he's known off the scene, has been down with Lil Durk and OTF for years. He's no stranger to the street life either. Back in 2010, he got hit with an attempted murder charge and ended up serving 12 years. Jam finally got out in 2022, but now, with the video surfacing and rumors circulating, fans are starting to wonder where his loyalty to OTF really stands. Durk's recent arrest has only turned up the heat, bringing Jam's relationship with him into the spotlight. This isn't some simple split, it's layered. The word is that Jam might have flipped on Durk, and fans are saying it could all go back to feeling abandoned by Durk when he needed him the most.
I get news told to me. They said, I've been told that the feds have been looking into Lil Durk. But I remember, this is before the O Block 6 thing happened.
Trench's News recently dropped some info to DJ Academics, claiming that Jam's baby mama reached out to Durk, asking for help with a lawyer to support Jam. According to Trench's, Durk allegedly brushed her off, and that cold shoulder might have cut deeper than anyone realized, leaving Jam with a sense of betrayal that may have pushed him to cooperate with law enforcement. Trench's broke it down for Academics, explaining that when Jam's baby mama asked Durk for legal help, Jam expected the rapper rapper to come through, especially given all the loyalty he'd shown OTF. But when Durk allegedly ignored the plea, it reportedly sparked a storm of resentment. Some fans believe this lack of support was the final blow that led to Jam's supposed cooperation with the feds. Jam was out here putting in work for OTF, only to watch Durk live good while he was struggling on the inside. That kind of betrayal stings hard in the world they come from, and in the game they play, loyalty is everything. Trenches and academics broke down that unwritten rule. When you're in this life, you don't leave your people hanging. If someone's out there risking it all, it's understood you take care of them, period. It's survival code. Trenches suggested that Durk not standing by Jam may have been the reason Jam decided to flip, realizing he wasn't going to get the backing he thought he'd earned after all his years of loyalty.
Did 12 years.
12
got
years.
out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him 50,000.
Right.
This. Ain't no smut on his name. He ain't never been a rat. Caught a gun case, but eventually he flipped.
Even Whack 100 had something to say about it on his show, claiming Jam started working with the feds shortly after he got out in 2022, right around the same time Durk's issues with the death of Lil Pop started heating up. In this world, loyalty is like currency, and one betrayal can send shockwaves. The fans are seeing this as more than just a falling out. It's like a real-life chess game with stakes that reach all the way back to the streets. For those who know the history between Jam and Durk, this supposed betrayal hits deep. Jam once credited Durk with helping him make it through those long years inside. After Durk's recent arrest, an old 2023 interview of Jam with DJ Jerry has started circulating, and it's got everyone rethinking things. In that interview, Jam reflected on how strong his bond with Durk was. He talked about how Durk's support wasn't just about money. Durk's music was a lifeline that kept them connected even behind bars. Durk's tracks would play at their gathering, lifting everyone's spirit, bringing some sense of community and normalcy in an environment that felt anything but. Jam remembered Durk as more than just a label head. He saw him as a brother from before the fame, before the money. Durk had paved a path for him to find some stability, something to hold on to while he served his time. But now that history feels shaky. It's left fans questioning whether loyalty can really hold up under the weight of the streets. Can the bonds built over years of loyalty and brotherhood survive when survival itself is on the line? Despite the heartfelt memories, this alleged betrayal has stunned fans and insiders alike. If the rumors are true, it means that someone Durk trusted, someone who publicly acknowledged him as a lifeline during a 12-year sentence, may have helped build a case against him. Although Jam didn't speak directly to the accusations in the interview, his words painted a picture of a close, almost brotherly bond, one that now seems fractured beyond repair. Jam assisted federal authorities in linking Lil Durk to the shooting targeting Quando Rondo, and many believe this revelation is only the beginning, hinting at a much larger web of connections and potential charges. Ordering hits. As part of the case that OTF Jam reportedly helped federal agents build, Lil Durk now faces a series of serious charges for allegedly arranging a murder-for-hire plot targeting Quando Rondo. Authorities claim this plot, which ultimately led to the tragic death of Rondo's cousin, was part of a retaliatory scheme over the 2020 murder of Durk's close friend and collaborator, King Von. Reports suggest Durk went so far as to put a bounty on Rondo's life, aiming to settle the score for Von's death. Durk was arrested in Florida and is currently held without bond at Broward County Jail. Alongside him, 5 members of his crew, identified as part of his OTF group, were also apprehended. Crew members Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay, and Asa Houston now face charges in connection with the murder-for-hire scheme, as well as other serious allegations. Additionally, Durk's family members were detained in California, suggesting the operation spanned multiple states. According to the indictment filed on October 17th, the alleged motive traces back to a fight that erupted in November 2020 at an Atlanta nightclub. During this incident, King Von, referred to as DB in court documents, was fatally shot by Lul Tim, an associate of Quando Rondo. Following Von's death, federal authorities say a bounty was issued on Tim's life, aiming to exact revenge for Von's killing. In August 2022, after learning of Tim's location at a Los Angeles hotel, Durk's crew allegedly traveled to California to carry out the plot. Joined by a second co-conspirator, they tracked Tim with 2 vehicles, but the attempt tragically claimed the life of Savia Robinson, Rondo's cousin, instead. Along with the murder-for-hire accusations, Durk and his associates are also charged with weapons-related offenses, including the use, possession, and discharge of firearms and machine guns during a violent crime that resulted in death. So far, Lil Durk's team has remained silent on the allegations, and no official statement has been made regarding the ongoing investigation. As Lil Durk battles serious charges of attempted murder, his past ties with Chicago's Black Disciples gang are coming back into the spotlight. Durk joined the Black Disciples after dropping out of high school in 2009, a pivotal moment in his life that shaped shaped both his personal and professional journey. His music career was closely intertwined with his introduction to the world of Chicago's street gangs, specifically the Black Disciples. In 2009, Durk joined the Black Disciples after dropping out of high school, a decision that not only shaped his music, but also influenced much of his life outside it. He remains connected to the gang alongside figures like Lil Reese, Chief Keef, and the late King Von and Fredo Santana. Raised in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood, Durk was exposed to gang culture from an early age. At 17, he became a father, a life change that gave him the motivation to pursue a serious music career. During this time, he was attending Paul Robeson High School, but ultimately chose to drop out. Joining the Black Disciples soon after, Durk became part of one of Chicago's largest and most influential street gangs. Tragedy has often accompanied Durk's path, particularly in recent years. In 2020, a conflict involving gang violence escalated, resulting in the death of Durk's older brother, D-Thang. These personal losses, coupled with ongoing legal troubles, have kept Durk's ties to the Black Disciples and the violence surrounding Chicago's gang scene in the spotlight. Lil Durk's recent legal battles have once again put a spotlight on his ties to Chicago's infamous gang world, particularly the Black Disciples, with whom he's been associated since his teenage years. This isn't his first brush with the law, but rather part of a long history that seems to intertwine music, gang loyalty, and a reputation built on reality rap. Over the years, Durk, along with his OTF crew and members of the Black Disciples, has faced serious accusations, with federal cases now linking them to violent acts, including high-profile hits like the murder of rival rapper FBG Duck. His early years in Englewood, a tough neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, exposed him to gang culture, and by the time he was 17, he was already immersed in that world. Durk's gang affiliation became more evident as his rap career took off, and his record quickly filled with gun-related charges. Back in 2011, Durk was first arrested on a weapons charge, marking the beginning of a troubled relationship with the law. He eventually pleaded guilty to a reduced charge of aggravated unauthorized use of a weapon, but this was just the beginning. Released on bond only to later serve 3 months in jail, he found himself in even more serious trouble 2 years later. Fast forward to June 2013, when police once again found Durk with a firearm. Around 3 a.m. in the 7200 block of South Green Street in Englewood, officers responded to reports of a man with a gun. As they approached, Durk was spotted tossing a loaded .40 caliber handgun into his car in a quick attempt to hide it. He was arrested on the spot and charged with unlawful use of a weapon by a felon, facing significant legal consequences yet again. His lawyer, arguing his innocence, presented multiple affidavits claiming the gun wasn't his. Durk spent over a month in jail before being released in July 2013, but this wouldn't be the last time he'd face felony charges. Durk's criminal record only grew over the years, shaping his reputation both in the streets and the rap game. In 2016, he was arrested for a probation violation tied to previous felony gun charges, which were later dropped. Then, in 2019, he got into even deeper waters with his close friend and collaborator, King Von. Prosecutors claimed that the two had been involved in a robbery and shooting outside an Atlanta drive-in, allegedly jacking a man for his Jeep Cherokee and $30,000. Both Durk and Von were locked up briefly, with Durk posting a hefty $250,000 bond. Though the charges against him were dismissed in 2022, the incident highlighted the tight but often chaotic bond between Durk and Von, two friends tied together by shared history, loyalty, and gang affiliations that ran deep. Durk's connections go beyond just Von, stretching across the entire Chicago rap scene, where alliances and rivalries often blur the line between music and the streets. Durk ran alongside rappers like Chief Keef and Lil Reese, figures who didn't just make music but carried reputations tied directly to Chicago's gang culture. Chief Keef, for instance, is heavily associated with the Black Disciples, particularly the Lamron faction, a crew named after Normal Boulevard in Englewood, the neighborhood where Keef grew up. These aren't just casual friendships. These are bonds forged in a world where alliances mean protection, loyalty, and sometimes survival. For Durk, associating with the Black Disciples was a double-edged sword. It grounded his reputation in real street credibility, but it also bound him to a scene where violence was never far behind. One of the earliest and perhaps most infamous tragedies tied to this web of gang affiliations was the murder of Joseph Lil Jojo Coleman in 2012. Lil Jojo, a young rapper who openly taunted the Black Disciples in his music, went so far as to label himself as a BDK, or Black Disciples Killer, a bold move that put a target on his back. Riding through Englewood on the back of a bike, Jojo was gunned down in an attack that made national headlines and turned the spotlight onto Chicago's gang-fueled rap scene. Chief Keef even added fuel to the fire by seemingly mocking Jojo's death on Twitter, though he later claimed his account had been hacked. It was one of those moments that showed the world how close Chicago's rap scene was tied to its street wars. Then in 2020, things hit another peak when FBG Duck, a prominent Chicago rapper and known rival, was murdered in broad daylight outside a Dolce & Gabbana store in the city's upscale Gold Coast area. The hit wasn't just about FBG Duck, it was a message, one that left 2 bystanders injured, including Duck's Duck's own girlfriend. The murder rattled the Chicago hip-hop world and fueled rumors that a $100,000 bounty had been placed on Duck's life, allegedly backed by members of the Black Disciples, possibly with ties to Durk's own camp. This wasn't just street-level retaliation. It was a well-organized hit that shook the entire Chicago gang landscape. Earlier this year, 6 gang members from the O Block faction of the Black Disciples were convicted of Duck's murder, adding yet another layer to the complex ties between music and gang rivalries in the city. In October 2024, FBG Duck's mother, Lashina Weekly, took the battle to court by filing a wrongful death lawsuit against Lil Durk, OTF Records, and major music labels like Sony and UMG Interscope.
Not a day goes by that I don't think about him.
Her lawsuit claims that these companies have not only turned a blind eye to the violence, but actively profited from it, feeding a culture of gang rivalry and violence for the sake of authenticity and profit. According to her attorney, Roosevelt Allen, the label saw the authenticity of gang culture as a marketable asset, and by encouraging artists deeply involved in street conflicts, they essentially funded and fueled the cycle of violence. Allen accused the labels of creating brands out of real-life gang warfare, pouring money into artists whose lives and music are entrenched in Chicago's gang culture. It's a serious accusation that's raised a lot of questions about the role of the music industry in promoting violence. Weekly's lawsuit suggests that labels didn't just passively benefit from the drama, but actively developed, financed, and profited from an environment where violent rivalries could be marketed as real. This lawsuit cuts deep into the heart of the reality rap scene that Durk and his peers represent, challenging whether the industry should be held accountable for the consequences of turning gang life into commercial success. The suit also claims that Durk and his label not only knew about King Von's vendetta against Duck, but actively fostered an image of violence through reality rap. According to Allen, they understood that controversy, beefs, and notoriety were good for driving increased record sales, streams, and views, and so didn't do anything to control the violent content associated with OTF and the Black Disciples. In a broader sense, the lawsuit represents a growing outcry against the commercialization of gang violence within the music industry, questioning how far labels will go for profit. Durk's ties to the streets and his long rap sheet are like this constant shadow over his career. He's balancing on a razor's edge between the fame he's built and the street life he's repping. It's that history in the gang scene that gives his lyrics real weight. You feel the struggle and loyalty, but it also makes you wonder, has he ever really left that life behind, or is he still caught up in it, just on a bigger stage? It's like his past and his music are so intertwined that one doesn't exist without the other. As the rapper sits in Broward County Jail without bail, awaiting further legal proceedings, his past affiliations and lifestyle choices are under intense scrutiny. However, the FBI had been steadily gathering evidence, carefully building a strong case that eventually led to his conviction. Their thorough investigation left no room for doubt, making sure they had everything they needed to secure the conviction: life in jail. The level of detail behind the case is intense, as the feds didn't just pull up out of nowhere. They had been watching and listening closely, building their case step by step with wiretaps, surveillance footage, and financial records, all painting a picture that's hard to ignore. According to court documents, federal agents used everything at their disposal, tracking phone calls, monitoring messages, and keeping a close eye on Durk's associates' movements. What really sets this case apart is the extensive network of surveillance used to connect the dots. Authorities claim that Durk, through his label and connections, allegedly funded flights for his associates to California, with those flights booked under his company's name. This wasn't just casual business. It added a clear trail of financial evidence that the feds are now using against him. They even connected these flights with specific timestamps and tracked each move his people made, tracing their steps back through LA's camera systems and security feeds. After the alleged incident, surveillance reportedly captured some of Durk's crew talking about payments, with plans to head back to Chicago. That's when, according to authorities, Durk came through on his promises, settling up with his crew for their work. This is all documented as part of a federal investigation that looks eerily similar to the techniques used in cases like Young Thugs, where wiretaps, financial records, and recorded calls played a major role in getting into the inner workings of his crew. Durk's case even took another twist when documents revealed he may have been planning a quick escape. New info obtained by NBC Chicago suggests that Durk had multiple international flights lined up around the time of his arrest. The FBI disclosed that U.S. Customs and Border Protection flagged Durk as a passenger for 2 separate flights on October 24th. One ticket was from Miami to Dubai, and another was from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland, but he never made it on board. Apparently, Durk was already moving carefully. iCloud records show he advised an OTF associate not to book any flights in his name, but in a final attempt to get out of the country, Durk booked himself a seat on a private flight from Miami to Italy. He almost made it too. He was picked up by federal agents near the airport, just about an hour before his private jet was supposed to take off. The timing couldn't have been closer. Just a few days earlier, on October 20th, he'd been performing at the United Center, but by By October 24th, he was in South Florida, with the feds hot on his trail. Legal experts following this case are saying the level of evidence, from financial transactions to wiretap conversations, presents some serious obstacles for the defense. And with the feds keeping certain details tight-lipped for security reasons, it's clear this case runs deep. Durk's alleged actions, his plans to skip the country, and the web of surveillance woven around him all add up to a situation where the stakes couldn't be higher. With Lil Durk now locked up on federal charges, fans are split and feeling uneasy. For some, it's a shock and a disappointment. For others, there's a grim sense of inevitability. This is a guy who's been rapping about the streets and loyalty, repping Chicago's roughest neighborhoods and living that life. But now that he's behind bars, his fans are left questioning what's next. And many are already starting to worry that this could be the end of the road for Durk's career. The timing couldn't have been worse. Durk was just on stage at the United Center days before, performing in front of thousands, holding it down as one of Chicago's most influential voices in hip-hop. But only a few days later, the feds swooped in, catching him near the airport as he was reportedly preparing to flee the country. The news hit fans hard. For years, Durk's music has been a reflection of street life, loyalty, and survival. And now it feels like that world has caught up to him. Social media is buzzing with fans expressing their frustrations and fears for Durk. They're worried about what his absence means for OTF, the label he built from the ground up. Durk was the anchor, the one who brought OTF into the mainstream. And now with him in jail, fans are concerned about the future of the whole movement. Will OTF be able to stand strong without Durk at the helm, or will his absence shake the foundation? Some longtime fans are even saying Durk's choices have finally caught up to him, calling it a self-fulfilling prophecy. He's been rapping about this life for years, putting it all into his music, the loyalty, the struggles, the pain. And now, in a twist that feels like something out of his own lyrics, he's facing the consequences head on. It's as if the very themes he built his career on have come full circle. For those who believed in Durk, who saw him as more than just a rapper, but as someone who turned his life around, the news stings even more. They feel like this might be the final chapter, that his career might not survive the weight of federal charges and the mounting evidence against him. Fans who looked up to him and saw him rise from the streets to success are now left hoping this isn't the end, but bracing themselves in case it is. The legal impact of these murder-for-hire charges against Lil Durk could extend far beyond his personal freedom, threatening to dismantle his entire career and public reputation. Murder for hire is a serious federal offense, alleging that a person arranged and financed a murder through another party. With federal charges involved, a conviction could mean a lengthy prison sentence, leaving him with limited chances of returning to the industry with the same level of influence and freedom. The implications for Durk's career are monumental. A conviction could devastate his public image, potentially ending his mainstream appeal. Sponsors and brands that once aligned with him for his crossover success might distance themselves, fearing association with criminal activity. Collaborators within the music industry may reconsider their ties, and fans who admired his story and his transformation might rethink their loyalty. Additionally, his philanthropic work through the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation, efforts aimed at giving back to Chicago's underserved communities, now faces the risk of being overshadowed by these allegations. Fans are spiraling over rumors that Durk could face the ultimate punishment over his murder-for-hire plot. With rumors swirling and speculation hitting fever pitch, fans are wondering if the feds are really coming for Durk with charges that could end his career and maybe even his life. It all started after Durk's recent arrest, with TikTok lighting up with posts claiming that he's facing the electric chair. For fans, this possibility isn't just about Durk. It's about what losing him would mean for the culture, for Chicago, and for an entire genre. For those who followed Durk's journey, the idea that he could face such a severe punishment hits hard. Durk started out as a voice from the streets of Chicago, using his music to tell stories of survival, loyalty, and resilience. Now, with federal charges stacking up, fans are faced with the reality that his story might end not just in jail, but with the threat of a death sentence. Even though no official reports have confirmed that he's actually facing the electric chair, the rumor alone has sparked an intense reaction, with fans flooding TikTok and Instagram to debate whether the charges against him are severe enough to warrant such a punishment. Legally speaking, the electric chair is not likely in Durk's future. California, where Durk faces the murder-for-hire charges, currently has a moratorium on the death penalty, thanks to a 2019 ruling by Governor Gavin Newsom. While capital punishment technically remains on the books, executions are suspended indefinitely, meaning that even if Durk were convicted, the electric chair wouldn't be on the table. This hasn't stopped fans from worrying, though, especially since the federal charges themselves are severe enough to carry life-altering consequences, potentially even life in prison without parole. But let's not forget, the feds came hard on Durk. Reports show a level of premeditation that doesn't look good in court. If the rumors about the electric chair aren't true, the reality is still harsh. Durk could face decades behind bars if convicted, with his career and freedom on the line. And while it may be a long shot, the rumors themselves are enough to send a chill down the spine of any fan who's watched Durk's rise. Facing the electric chair or not, the message is clear. These charges are about as serious as they come, and the outcome could be career career ended. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click on one of the videos on your screen to dive into more content from our channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more.